launch your meeting. The meeting is about to record. Sounds good to me.
Got it. All right, so I'll go over this and people jump on, they'll jump on. So one of the cool things about Finance of America now is that they're really developing their own in-house products for self-employed individuals. What I mean by that is, the alternative documentation. So if you can't qualify with regular tax returns, your 2 years taxes and all that good stuff, then there's other options that are going to be available to qualify you with as little as 10% down.
Oh, wow.
So let me go over. Let's see. You guys.
So Edgar, hang on a second.
Sure.
With no PMIs with 10% down, or still PM?
Yeah, because these are essentially self-funded loans, and they securitize them within the company. So there's no private mortgage insurance because it's not part of QM stuff. It's part of non.
Oh, that's good.
You guys can see my screen, right?
I can see the screen, yes.
Okay. So there's a bunch, but these are the four main ones that I wanted to go over. There's a profit and loss self-employment program, bank statement program, a 1099 form program, and then the debt to service ratio when you buy an investment property. So products are meant for self-employed or individuals. For example, the last product is meant for individuals that don't want to show any income or don't show enough income to qualify to buy an investment property, but they have the assets. They don't need stubs, none of that crap. The only criteria that we ask is that you're a previous homeowner at one point of your life. So as long as your credit report shows that you've owned a home at one point, or you're on title on a property, then they think they show that as being somebody with a past experience and home ownership and as an investor. So they let you essentially get a loan with no income, just assets.
So Edgar, sorry, what's the DSCR stand for? What is that?
Debt service credit ratio.
Okay, so that's the equity that you have.
No, that's based on whatever the property can rent for to cover the payment.
Got it. Okay.
So if your PITI is $2,500, they want to make sure that at least the rent is going to be the $2,500, and then that way they won't ask for anything other than just making sure you have your 20% down or 25% down, and 6 months reserves. So this one is a profit and loss one. So they're allowing you to just use a P&L. So in other words, those individuals that income very low on their tax returns, and they say, you know what, I have a new profit and loss for this year that's going to make me look good. Can I use that to qualify? And yes, you can. So it's got to be a profit and loss that's going to be backed by the actual CPA or accountant. You have to have your assets. You still have to have your down payment. You still have to have, your reserves. So you're going to need about 6 months reserves. They go $660 on a purchase, and you can go 1 to 4 units PUDs, and then max 50% DTI. So they'll just take whatever is on your profit and loss, divide that by 12, and that's your income. So this means that if your accountant is obviously working up these profit and losses, and they can send you one and they're able to sign it stating that they're the ones that prepared it, then we can use it. Come in with as little as 10% down. So it makes it a little easy for those individuals that don't want to put a big ass down payment or do hard money, but they can do profit and loss.
That's great.
So these products, obviously.
Sorry, Edgar, question for you. Don't mean to interrupt, but you guys can do loans also outside of California, correct?
Yeah. So I'm personally licensed in a bunch of states, but our company, and there's individuals in our office that can do them in pretty much the 50 states that we can lend on. So a lot of us got licensed in other states, especially the busy ones. Like I'm licensed in Oregon, Washington, Idaho, Tennessee. And so that I can do the loans personally over there. And then we have other individuals that are licensed for the rest of the states in our office too, which is Santa Clarita. So makes it pretty cool that we can pretty much work in almost every state or all of the states in-house without having to broker it out. Oh, so that's this program. The second program is a bank statement program. This is probably the one that you guys are most familiar with, that you hear about a lot, using 12 months or 24 months. And essentially what they'll do is they'll take your deposits, and obviously you'll have to source that they are business related or income related. So they may ask you to source them via invoices, and you're obviously, and showing that that comes from income that you collect. And they'll take a certain percentage depending on what you do for a living. So if it's a service industry you're a part of, or if it's a product industry, which is sales or construction, automotive, stuff like that, then there's a different percentages based on what you do for a living. And it's only because some of the income that you bring in, especially if you run, for example, in a construction business, a lot of that money that you're bringing in is for materials too. Materials don't count as income, so they have to back out a certain percentage for those non-allowables as income. But they'll take a 12-month or 24-month average, and you can come in with as little as 10% down, just like the other one. And one of the cool things about these programs is that you can do jumbo. So this particular one, you go up to 3 million on a purchase. And again, no PMI, debt to income up to 50%. And for primary, second homes, and investment properties. Obviously, 10% for investment property won't happen, but it's 20% for investment, and it's 10% for primary and second homes.
Got it.
So, and by the way, so let's say, for example, you have a borrower that doesn't have enough deposits. We can add a second borrower that is W-2 to qualify as well.
Really? Wow.
We can combine them. This is the 1099 form. So for realtors or salespeople that work as a subcontractor, this is awesome because they'll take your 1099 form before, you know, the form that you get and you issue through the company to
Correct.
realtors and all that good stuff. Or let's say there's a salesperson that gets 1099 from a pipe company that they're the sales guy and they don't get W-2s, they get a 1099. So as long as we have a 2-year history of them receiving 1099, they'll take either the 1 year or 2 years, depending on what the average is. And all they do is take the gross amount on your 1099 and subtract 15% from that. And that's the income we use. So
Oh, really? Okay.
On your 1099, 15% of that, and now I show that you make $85,000. So we don't use your tax returns because obviously most people that are in sales or in real estate, they wipe out everything. But we won't have to do that. We'll just use the 1099 and then take gross, take away 15% of that, and that's our income that we go with. And these products, you can go with the 30-year fix, and then they have 30 interest only 30 and a 40-year fix.
Oh, wow.
So obviously these are meant for people that are self-employed sales and don't file a lot of income. And same thing, 10% down, 660 FICO, 50%. So again, if you need additional income, you can combine somebody else's income into this product as well. So if you have a co-borrower with W-2s, we can use that as well. So this was cool for realtors and like anybody that sells on subcontractors, you know what I mean? Like truck drivers that get a 1099 from the main company, that stuff. And then this is a debt to service investor program I was mentioning. So this is through our commercial department, but we do them here. We do the applications and we send them to that department to qualify. You can purchase an investment property, a single unit, which means is you want to buy an investment property, but you don't have any 1099, you don't have any income that we can use to qualify, bank statements, none of that crap that we have income to qualify you with. You can just use most recent 2 months bank statements. And based on your FICO score, obviously tells you what your LTV is. So if you have a 700 plus, you can come in with 20% down. You can go all the way down to a 640 and put 30% down, and they won't ask for any income documentations. All they care.
Wait, sorry. So this is even a cash out refi with a
As an
640 or
investment.
above with 2 months worth of bank statements?
Yeah, as an investment, if it's a true investment property. So as long as you're not occupying it. So what they'll do is check
Gotcha.
title, make sure that the address there doesn't show that you live there.
Right.
For the statements and stuff and the property, make sure that you're not living there because this is a non-QM program.
Right, right.
Primary is only for investment. So yeah, if it's, and it has to be rented out.
Right.
Or if it's vacant, it has to be rentable and a lease has to be on hand of them being able to rent the property out at least before the first payment's due. So if you have an individual that has a bunch of rental properties, but found nothing but losses in the tax returns, and they don't show that they collect on bank statements, all the rents and all that good stuff, or nothing's really legit in the sense they collect everything cash. Do a refinance or a purchase for those kind of investors, as long as they have money in the bank. And essentially it's just the down payment, the closing costs, obviously, and reserve. So if it's tenant occupied and we use the rent they're being collected at the moment as the income, then they only need 6 months reserves. If it's currently vacant, the property, and you're obviously have a lease in place, then you need 9 months reserves.
Oh,
Is that, so this is an investment property where you only need 20%?
Yeah.
If you got a FICO score over 700?
Right.
What is that, some kind of like law that it has to be a certain amount of down payment? Like, because people were telling me 25% or something.
I think it just depends on the lender, to be honest with you.
Okay,
Like this is through our program, and we're a little loose on it because, you know, that's obviously they just started this program about 2 years ago. I've done a few, I'm doing one right now, and it makes a lot of sense again for people that don't have a lot of income. The rates obviously are a little higher, but not that much higher than your regular investment purchases. Most of these programs, like I said, are in between hard money and a regular loan, a conventional loan. So the rate's going to be about a 1%, like 1% higher, you know what I mean, than what
yeah,
conventional loans are. But again, this, if you don't have any other income to show for, they'll let you buy an investment property with no tax returns, no pay stubs, just as long as you have assets.
wow.
This is like the plan B, you know what I mean? So if
Yeah.
you reach out, some investor ever reaches out to you and say, well, shit, you know what, I have monies, but I just can't show any income. Well, this is the one we will slap them in, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
And it's like a regular process, same application, all that good stuff goes through underwriting. The thing that the most important is the property. So the property cannot be distraught, which means that it can't be a fixer. The appraiser has to go out there, and they specifically are told, appraise it as if somebody's going to be able to move into it, because that's the only way that we count income, which is the property itself as our asset, as our income base, you know what I mean? So if the property is not going to be able to get rented right away, then they won't approve it.
if you buy a brand new constructed home, do you still need an appraisal?
Yes, unless, well, I lie, because right now with like Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac, depending on what your down payment is, your credit score, they may waive the appraisal and just do what's called a desktop review. But the problem with new builds is that when you run them on title, they still show up as land. So they work in that system. So if it's an existing property that's been already with a certificate of occupancy, it's already gone through title, it's already registered, we may be able to get away without an appraisal because the system might generate an approval without one. But those properties that have vacant land and it's still vacant land and there's no certificate of occupancy, the system's going to read it as vacant land, and that's why they'll send an appraiser on.
Got it.
But yeah, I mean, these are all programs for opportunities for individuals that tell you, hey, I don't think I found enough income. I think I'm going to wait. Or, you know what, I just rent because I don't want to go through the hassle of paying taxes on what I need to qualify. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Then we can make it work.
Yeah.
You have any questions?
No, this is great.
Yes, I have a question. So if I have an LLC and my 1099 is going to the LLC and it's not going to my name, can that be used?
So if you're putting the money in your LLC, that's a good question. I'll double check, because normally what we want to see is a 1099 coming to you, because then we can show that that's for you. But if I'm pretty sure if we provide documentation that you own 100% of your LLC, then it will be treated the same way. But I'll double check for you. That's a good question.
Okay. And
Yeah.
then, and another question, let's say I'm getting check deposits into my bank account. However, I don't get a 1099. Can that be considered as income?
Yeah. So what were the deposits? Where are they from? The checks from? Like, let's say.
The checks would be from from some work I've done for someone else. They just don't give a 1099, but I have proof of what of that check copy, and like, does that help?
Yeah. So what they'll do is they'll ask for an invoice
Okay.
to show what the services that you got paid for were, and that's what they'll use as a source of deposit. So as long as we initially fill out the application, if you own multiple businesses, we want to list them all.
Okay.
We'll have to show where each source of funds is coming from, and we'll have to draw up invoices to match.
Got it. And then finally, one more question, the rules for showing the down payment. It should be in a checking or savings account, right?
Right, so you want it to be liquid. If it's in stocks, they'll accept that. They just want to show that you liquidated by the time you close and show the transfers. But for the most part, they want everything to be liquid.
And then the savings account is just 2 months old, right? The statement.
Yeah, 2 months. All they ask for is 2 months.
And can you also use the LLC savings account, or it has to
Yeah,
be?
as long as you own 100% of it, yes.
Okay.
So if you have a partner in it, they won't let you use it. You have to be 100% owner of your companies to be able to use those assets
Okay.
in these programs. Or they have to be on the loan with you. So for example, if you're your partner own 50-50, then both of you have to be on the loan. Yep. So yeah, so there's a couple other ones, and we'll do another one. I don't want to bombard you guys with too much information. These are the main ones that we've been consistently using, and some of these again are fairly easy. They're not difficult. So it's just a matter of educating the client and letting them know, hey, there's alternative ways to qualify you. Talk to the lender, and they'll ask you a few questions, and we'll figure out what the best program is based on how they get paid. So that's the number one clue, is especially if they want to buy as an owner occupant. How do you get paid, and what line of work you're in? How do you get your business? Because that's stuff that we'll need to ask, so that when the underwriter goes into the bank statements and start asking for sourcing, nothing comes up where they're saying, well, this is just money I just had in my mattress I keep depositing in. Well, no, that doesn't count as income anymore. Income is when you receive it and it's and paid to you based on services rendered, not money that you put in your mattress and now you're bringing it back out. All right, so yeah, so let me know, guys, if you guys have any other questions. If you want to take a picture of this is my information and Steven's information. You guys can contact us. Again, we have other programs, but these are the main ones. And there's, I mean, one of the other programs, I guess I can mention to you, if you ever come across somebody that has millions of dollars in the bank and doesn't file any income on their tax returns, we also have a program called asset depletion, where we take a certain percentage of their balances that are not going to be used for the purchase. And after we take that percentage of those balances, they use that as income as well. So the idea is, if you have that much money you can live off of, then we'll take a percentage of that and divide it by, for example, the annual 12 months and whatever it comes out. That's income that we can add to your application. So that's another option too.
This is awesome.
Mm-hmm. So,
Edgar, where are you located now?
So we have 2 offices. We have one in Valencia, that's at the old road and Valencia Boulevard. So we're on the top floor where Realty Executives used to be.
Okay.
And then we have an office out in Palmdale as well.
Okay. I guess the big takeaway from this is that if you have someone in this circumstance, that you guys can help them, or you have many programs to help them, right?
Exactly. And it's obviously, this is the focus is for self-employed individuals, because those are the ones that we have the hardest time. Because every time we look at somebody's tax returns, we say, crap, yeah, you made $1 million based on your receipts, but after you wrote everything off, you only made 10 grand. You know what I mean?
And what I can tell everybody is what I know about Edgar. I've known him for years, that when he says a deal is going to go through, it's going to go through. You're not going to get surprises later. If he tells you it's not going to go through, well, he pretty much knows that at least if you're going elsewhere, you're probably not going to get the best deal out there. So again, he's pretty savvy, knows what he's doing with that. I think they can close relatively quickly. You just need to have some qualified people. But yeah, he's got some good programs. I'm going to look into some of those because I'm looking to invest, especially out of state. So we'll talk, Edgar.
All right, cool. Let me know.
Thanks, Edgar. This is
All right,
really
guys,
great.
be good. We'll
Appreciate it, guys.
Recording over to Dan to hand over to anybody that wants to learn a little bit about it as well.
Absolutely. Very helpful. Much appreciated. We'll have to do another one soon.
Yeah, for sure. All right, guys. Be good.
Sounds good.
Thanks,
Take care,
Edgar.
guys. Be
All
good,
right,
guys.
thank you.
See you.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you.